He wants you to succeed. Have faith of a mustard seed. Get up on your feet. Rise up.
Welcome to the Drexwell Seymour Show. Such a pleasure to be here in your company. The Turks and Caicos Islands elections is imminent. And so today the Drexwell Seymour Show will be interviewing one of their large candidates for the PDM party, Mr. Robert Bean. Of course, Robert Bean is not new to the Drexwell Seymour Show. He and his brother, Rashawn, was on my show talking about, the unsolved case of the murder of their father, Robert Bean, Sr. But today we're using this opportunity for a different perspective. And with that said, I want to welcome Mr. Robert Bean, Jr. to the Drexwell Seymour Show.
Yes. Good day, Turks and Caicos. Good day, Mr. Seymour. Thanks for having me once again. Getting comfortable being on your shows. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to the questions you would have. And as he said, I am one of the at-large candidates on the People's Democratic Movement. So I hope you guys tune in, share the link, listen in, and we move forward.
So Robert, tell us a little about yourself, because people are watching you. I mean, some people know you and some people probably don't know you. I mean, who is Robert Bean, Jr.?
Robert Bean, Jr., let's start from day one, is the son of Sharon and Robert Bean, Sr. Most people know him as Robbie from Grand Turk. My mom is from Five Keys, so I grew up in Five Keys. I attended Indicating Primary School. To give you guys a quick overview, graduated from the Clement Hall High School. After my high school years, I went to further my college education over in the United States. Attended the Shore University, where I obtained a criminal justice degree, bachelor's in that. And from there, I went and pursued a law degree over in the United Kingdom, at the University of Leeds. I completed that, I think it was 2010,
Okay.
I want to say 2011. And I came back home to Turks. I started working on the law firm of Cameron Mizik, and immediately after that, I decided to go back to do another course, which was the LPC in law, and came back home. I think I might have mentioned this to you, for those that don't know, and ended up coming back a bit early because I had missed the first month of the course, which was the real important foundation of any course. I came back, and as most know, I lost my father like a few months after. So I decided to stay home and manage the family business. And from there, developed a few other businesses, and that passion for politics actually ended up developing during that same stage. And I was eventually contacted by my party, the People's Democratic Movement, asked if I had interest to run. So between running for office, which is now is my third attempt, for the last 8 years, I'm thinking now. This is 8 years now?
Yeah.
So between speaking out on issues, representing the people here of this country, I've been between that, politics, and business. So I have converted from, doing regular business to actually turned myself into a local developer. So I started building villa rental properties, some I rent, some I keep, and some I sell. So that's a quick rundown about myself. Not to exclude that I am married and I have 3 beautiful daughters. Can't forget them. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good background to know.
Yes.
So what made you associate yourself with the PDM party?
In all truth, just like most everybody in Turks and Caicos, it starts with parents, right?
Okay.
And that was the party that my parents were always affiliated with. But at the same time, I always looked at both parties in comparison, and I just felt like PDM more was the party that has always represented people in Turks and Caicos. That's my personal view and my opinion on that. I believe they stand for a lot of qualities that majority of Turks and Caicos Islanders, possess. The party is built on, some basic fundamental principles that, justice, equality, freedom, fairness, for all. And I believe when that government is in power, again, my personal view, and I stand on it, the playing field is level. I believe everybody have a fair chance at whatever it is that is out there for Turks and Caicos Islanders versus, the other side where some people say it's just only a particular group of people that continues to benefit. But again, for me, I believe that sometimes you have to look beyond the name just PDM or PNP, and sometimes it's the individuals, because I think that's where most people, most especially the new generations, are leading, towards.
I think so.
They're not being party down the line supporters. They are actually looking at individuals to see who can represent them best, who is sending a great, clear message that aligns with them and their future. So for me, I always hear people, oh, I'm a PDM or I'm a PNP, I'll never vote the PDM. But again, it's what you want for your country and what you want for yourself, because you could be a big supporter of a certain political organization, and that particular administration at that time may not be the one in line with your goals, your vision for yourself or your family. And currently, as it stands, me being the deputy leader of the party, I believe I'm more in touch and more rooted in what is needed now, today, for Turks and Caicos Islanders to actually promote not just the country, because I believe the country has already been branded, but to be that voice, that person to execute, if I can use that word, a secure future for our local population, because we're being left out. The economy is booming, but the local economy isn't.
Okay, so you mentioned early, you know what's needed. What is needed from your point of view? What do you think is needed?
Well, it depends on, when we speak of need, what we're referring to, because of course we know there's a lot of issues, national issues of the day, such as crime, healthcare, immigration. But if we are referring to, when it comes to our local population, I would say the opportunities, and that those kind of opportunities, opportunity to have access to housing, being homeowners all over again, opportunity to having proper access to capital to start business development, business growth. Because the clock is ticking on us. The clock is ticking on us. And what used to be sufficient to start a good-sized business or build a house, it's not sufficient today. And the longer we delay, the more and the more the cost goes up. And the truth and the reality is, the cost isn't coming back down as people this is going to assume it is.
Unless there's a recession.
Yeah, and even if it's a recession, right? I hear a lot of people say Turks is almost like recession-proof, which I wouldn't say that. But at the same time, I believe because we use U.S. currency, we are so close to the U.S., we have a product that, you see what happened with COVID, right? We actually manned out, I think, above most Caribbean countries, after COVID. I think we have a product that we sell to the world that, regardless of a recession, people still need to get away for peace, to get a reset. And I believe Turks and Caicos will, for a long time, continue to be that destination as long as we continue to manage the affairs of government the right way.
So why should people vote for Robert Bean? Why should we give you an opportunity?
I have several answers to that question. Several answers to that question. But I'll say this: people have been begging for something different for years. People have been saying they want to hear a new voice. They want something different. They're tired of seeing the same recycle politicians. And I'm not saying that to step foot on anybody that's currently running, past or previously. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, if we're going to continue to modernize government, modernize Turks and Caicos, we have to get new blood, new faces involved. The only way we're going to get groomed and trained for these roles and positions that we bragged over the years, the youth are the future of Turks and Caicos, is to give people like myself a fair opportunity to sit at the table to represent people like myself. Because, I know number of people in their 40s still don't own land, still don't own home, have issues today finding a proper housing. And I'm just thinking, some of these people have kids, in fact, grown kids at that. And some had to actually move back in home with their parents just because, the cost of living and, what they're being paid today.
So what would you do, to eradicate that problem with addressing the housing needs, addressing the access to capital? What are some of the things you would do to make sure that those individuals who don't have a home will not have a home?
I don't know how many persons saw our press conference that was just this week ago, but myself, the leader, and of course the executive and members of our party, we sat and we discussed, different things that we can do to actually empower our people rather than just saying it. And one of the things I came up with, and I came up with this years ago, and I mentioned also when the land review team was here, I think it was 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And of course, there was only one local that sat on that panel. I'm not going to call his name. And he would confirm, I said, why not revert back to the original lease agreements? Because currently as it stands, you couldn't obtain those freehold titles back then because of so many back fees and challenges. The premier of the day, they decided that they would give it at 50% of the market value. Since that has been implemented, many folks has challenged to actually obtain their title because 50% of the market value, if you couldn't, for example, your title back then was $30,000. Now your property value is $500. You couldn't find a $30,000 van, and your position hasn't changed. How are you going to find $250,000 now? So I believe if we want to seriously empower our people, remember, we don't have that many resources as people assume. One of our main resources today is home ownership and owning properties. We must be fair. And as we know, property in Turks and Caicos increase dramatically in equity. And so if we had revert back, and this is one of the things, like I said in that press, we will revert back to those original lease titles to give those an opportunity to actually own those properties. So if you revert back to those titles and they purchase that, for example, these are just numbers being thrown out. They're not saying that's what it is. 30,000 property value is 500 today. I mean, banks would run you down and give you that 30,000, and now you got about 470,000 equity to play with, where you can actually borrow against that as well to whether you want to build a 2-bedroom home or start at least a small little plaza. That's one of the avenues that I had rolled out there to assist in empowering our people. Secondly, making it more easier to access capital. It's a big challenge. I think a lot of people don't know what they qualify for today as it relates to getting bank finances. And I think a series of, not town hall meetings, but a series of sessions need to be in place. You're a financial expert, and when I say that, I mean, we have to get on more on a one-on-one hands approach. I know we have the SME program, but I mean, it works for some. It may not work for many. But I think we need to put our people in a position where they can actually access private lending easier. Now, if that means introducing new banks, I don't know what kind of restrictions that there are against it. Again, I'm not in office. I have not been in office, but these are just, a few ideas and things that can be considered. And we have to see what works for Turks and Caicos first. Most people say, well, you don't understand because you're not in government and that's not possible. So if we're going to continue to say that's not possible, what we're going to do? Continue to let our people fail and not prosper in our own country? We have to break that pattern where we feel like it's not possible or it can't work. It can work.
So what do you think about the government's proposal to establish a mortgage fund? I think they have that on the table.
Yeah, I support a program like that. In fact, that program is going to fall under, if I'm correct, under the Sovereign Wealth Fund, right?
The funding probably will come from
that.
Yeah,
and that was actually formed under the last administration. Under the Cartwright administration. So, of course, if that was formed under that administration, it tells that we definitely would be in support of that. So I definitely support that, but we have to ensure that it's handled the right way. It's not done where it's hand-selected individuals. And it's time we moved the country from paper to electronic e-governance because delays discourages people.
Of course.
Sometimes even a traditional bank to secure a proper loan with a traditional bank can take you almost 8 months to a year. I'm not talking about a quick vacation loan. I'm not talking about a quick, short-term loan. I'm talking about a real loan. That can take you almost 8 to 10 months. And within that 8 to 10 months period, you can get discouraged along the way. And a lot of people just give up. Oh, they don't want to give it to me, or they don't want to, give me that opportunity. But I think it's going to take a government, and I truly believe myself and my party, we are ready to lead as it relates to that, because I know for sure this is the last opportunity to get it right. We are being priced out of the market as it stands when it comes to real estate, and you can have the bank that you would have just said, but if the properties are costing X, they're still not going to qualify to purchase it. They're still not going to qualify to build it. So, another thing that I'm pushing to when it comes to housing is the affordable housing. We probably have to look and move past the regular style of building. It's smarter ways to build, most especially with us being in a hurricane impact zone. You have impact windows. Years ago, I would say 10 years minimum ago, most people still were using regular windows. Now you have, hurricane impact windows, doors that can, sustain up to 175, 200, miles per hour winds. Same thing with the structure itself. They have those kind of structures that's present. I actually sat with a developer about a few weeks ago, and he have actually a decent proposal to government, which he says he already had submitted to cabinet, this cabinet actually, and they haven't progressed it. I would actually like to see that proposal, and I believe it's something that can work where people are in safe, affordable, reliable style home, and it's only costing about $250,000 to $300,000. That's something that I would back and support 100%.
Okay.
Because if you're going to a bank for finances for $800,000, $700,000 just to build a 3-bedroom home, the cost of living and what
we don't even want to encourage that.
Yes, we don't. Yeah. So if we can get our people in houses, better accommodation, affordable, that will assist them when it comes to that cost of living situation. Because as it stands, most people paycheck is going into rent, mortgages, school fees, and the list goes on. So we need to drop that almost by 40%. 50, 60 would be kind of unreasonable, but if we can drop that by 40%, I think we'll give our people a lot of room.
Now, I mean, for me personally, when I look at both parties, I don't see any difference between the parties. I just see, personalities. And and based on my understanding, some of the former and current parliamentarians, they find it a challenge when it comes to cabinet. You could have all these great ideas. You could have all this, like you mentioned, the 50% that the current government is proposing on the lease. You probably say, go back to the original price. But all that, I believe, have to be agreed in cabinet.
Yes.
Now, as you get to cabinet, how do you think you'll be able to convince the non-elected officials to agree with you? Because my understanding is that there must be a consensus, and I think that's part of the challenge that parliamentarians have. They have all these great ideas, but when it comes to cabinet, they need a consensus.
How about I respond to that? If you don't have a consensus when it comes to that, that's a major issue. That's a non-factor. Housing is a issue in Turks and Caicos. The UK, we are dependentary under the UK, but they have policies in place that provides housing for their people. In the U.S., they have the same thing. Some call it the project housing. Some call it, social welfare housing. They have those programs in place. So I can't see how non-elected official will not, assent to, something that is so important to us now.
They probably would agree to the housing, but I don't think they will agree to something less than 50%
and as far as the land, if we go back to the land, honestly, we have no other choice but to do it at this stage. Our population is so small.
I agree.
You just passed Grace Bay Stretch, the main entrance on Allegro Road to come here. Our property was being cleared down. You saw that, right?
I saw that.
That's not by ours. We have to put land back in the hands of locals.
Yes.
And if that's the only way we can do to empower our local, me, you, the guys behind this camera, the opposition at that time, everybody will have to stand and protest in front of the relevant office and work together to get it. When we wanted our Constitution back, we joined forces together to get that back. You don't get nothing by keeping your mouth closed.
True.
So it's okay for them to disagree and don't approve it, but I will go back to my people. You see, for me, it's not about being concerned about being re-elected, because if you perform, you don't have to worry about being re-elected.
You're right. Got that right.
I'm going to give it my all. And even if it fails, the people of this country is going to say, he tried, but we just didn't back him when we needed to back him, so we could have gotten our approvals.
Yeah. We got to fight for what we want.
We have to. We watch it happen in every country, majority of countries in the Caribbean. Let's just go to our neighboring country in the Bahamas. If the government or somebody says, no, yes, they're independent, but you see how they operate. If it's a no, there's a protest, there is noise making, and we say the political leaders need to start getting radical. The people of this country has to start getting radical as well. This is going to take a team effort, and this is why I said, when you're looking to see who you're going to decide to vote for, let's take a look at people that are serious about this country.
Yeah.
Not people that are just looking for a position or a title. You see it, and if I must be fair, it's on both sides. I'm going to be neutral about it. It's on both sides.
You're right. You're right.
But you can examine for yourself. Nobody is forcing anybody to say you have to go straight down the line for this. But examine and see what you have there. And if you start examining these candidates that are put before, you're going to end up with a strong government, and then you're going to end up with a strong opposition. So for me, I'm a guy that likes to see results. And when I put my mind to something, I execute and get it done.
You get it done.
The worst thing anybody could ever do to me is say no, it can't happen. Because you know what? Everybody has a higher boss or somebody that's higher in authority. And I believe if I'm having an issue here at this level, Minister of Foreign Affairs was just here. I would go that level. And if it's a problem still with him, I think he has somebody above him, which is his boss, which is now the premier. Prime Minister, sorry. I would have to figure out how to get there. And if the challenge continues there, we go higher. We just keep going higher and higher until we get the change we want, but we would have to stand together and united. Because one voice alone cannot do it.
Yeah, I like that. Now let's talk about crime. It's a big issue that we've been facing for a while in our country, and I believe your party say that they have the solutions to reduce crime. What are some of the things you would do if we elect you in the PDM party so that crime can be reduced?
Anything to do with crime is deterrence. The first thing. I am not a criminal expert. Anytime we speak of crime, I always declare it and say that. In fact, I don't believe nobody that's on the ticket currently would be criminal expert or investigation officers. We only can give advice and express what we think can be done. So I would go based on basic fundamental things that works, and it's deterrence program. Again, I heard one of the ministers said it's about 7 new patrol vehicles on place. That's not enough for proper coverage in Providenciales. If we are serious, we need to see a minimum. I continue to say this. When you do an order, you need to do an order a minimum of 50 patrols just for Provo. Because by the time a robber or a criminal commits a crime in Grace Bay or Blue Hills, they can actually take their time driving back down the road in their own time, because the officers just need to come from Chalktown or Grace Bay or wherever the location is. We need to,
So we need more resources.
More
visibility.
A central station, and when I mean a central, a rail station, where basically, you have everything there in one, and you have the amount of patrol units that you need. I see, I've noticed the mobile police unit has been just commissioned the other day.
Activated.
And do you know that was my idea years ago?
No, I didn't know that.
If you can go back to 2015, that was actually a part of my platform, and I was pushing and pushing and pushing that and pushing it up until the last thing. So when I saw it the other day, I was like, hey, great, hats off to them for actually bringing that into light. But these are things that I've always discussed, and it always assists with deterring crime. You can't stop crime because people have the mind of their own.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But you can deter it.
Yeah,
you can deter it. And again, with front page, I think 2 papers, 6 police commissioners in the last less than 8 years. That's not acceptable. It's clear that there is some kind of issue. I believe at this stage, someone from the locally should be given a fair opportunity. You've already tried 6, and I'm not being political at this stage. I'm just saying you've already tried 6 foreign police commissioners from different parts of the world, Canada, the UK, the Caribbean. Let's try someone in-house, locally, that knows the streets of Providenciales, that knows a good number of these criminals, that can actually figure out how we can address these issues. Now, if there's anything that we need to do, yes, we need more manpower. What we can do is bring in more manpower and position them in various positions in the force. I believe that will assist in getting better structure in the force, because currently, if you keep having commissioners change that often, it's clear that there is a structural issue within the organization. And it's not a good look, not just locally. On an international level, it's not a good look because people come here to vacation. And if it looks like the force isn't reliable, the citizens aren't protected, then it starts to play with our main industry, which is tourism. So again, for me, one of the first things you'll see me implement is try to get it more resources, which all governments always talk about, but the right resources, which means the commissioner of the day is not going to tell me all he needs is 7 cars. No, you need more than 7 cars. You need more patrol presence throughout Turks and Caicos. You need more manpower stationed in each vicinity. You actually need you have the 911 location with the CCTVs. You need more investment in that program because it's clearly not working, if I must be honest, because if it is, if a crime happens down the street from here, you have cameras, and you got the car with the guys jumped in, that other camera at the 7 stars roundabout, you're supposed to be tracking that everywhere it goes, which means also you need more eyes in the skies also. So we even have to purchase a helicopter that, just it happens. You get that bird in the air, and the cameras are catching up with these cars as it moves, and then the chopper should have already been in the air. So when they try to abandon that car, whether it be in Dockyard, Blue Hills, 5 Keys, or wherever they run, we have you surrounded. We know you're running off, so nobody gets away. And you look at bigger countries and wonder why crime is at a controllable level, and it's because they have the manpower, they have the resources, and their response rate is there, it's present. Which means we have to not just get patrol units to patrol, but proper patrol units that communicate with one another.
I mean, I would think, though, that the police, you have the commissioner who has a management team of 5 or 6 people. I would think that based on their experience and based on their knowledge of what's happening, they should be able to know what they need to. They should know more than us, who are not in the field.
I agree.
They should know what is needed, and because I've seen where this administration, the previous administration, the Rufus Jr. administration, they said whatever the police ask for, they give it to them. So I would think that they should have a plan in place. This is what we think we need to catch those criminals. Now, as I mentioned, police doesn't cost criminals. Their job is to catch them, because criminals will exist no matter what. But they need to try and catch them, take them to jail. So I would think that they would have a plan, and they submit their plan. I would think that they would have I would think that there would be so many ideas in other countries already being used and tested that they could copy and submit it to the government for approval.
Because you don't need to reinvent the wheel. That's the thing. You don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can look at different countries, different layout, and see what they have done. What's happening in Turks and Caicos isn't new. It isn't new, but as a government that truly should be caring about the well-being and safety of its people, and I believe honestly both government cares about the well-being and safety, but the question is who is more serious about the safety and well-being of others, because some might just be okay, it's not me, it's not my family that are victims to crime, we don't live in these crime-prone areas. So
I mean, I hope nobody's thinking that way.
Believe it or not, some people, they're not there.
Yeah.
So they're not threatened.
Yeah.
As much as we say most every Turks and Caicos Island has been touched by gun violence, it might be truth to a certain extent, but not probably when it comes to that inner circle. And we don't want that. So before it even escalates that far, we need to ensure that we get involved.
Yeah.
We say the governor is responsible for the police force and the protection of our borders and all that stuff. No, it's time we get involved.
But we must get involved. Even though that's under the governor's portfolio, that doesn't exclude
my point.
The elected officials not getting involved. They have to get involved.
So for me, if I have to sit with the governor or the police commissioner and he's telling me he's the expert and he thinks it's only 30 more manpower he need or 10 more cars, I would tell him I don't agree with that. Not because you're the expert, you've been there for 20, 30, 40 years. That's your view, that's your opinion on that, and I would need a second opinion.
Okay.
And government spends hundreds of thousands a year on independent legal advice. Hundreds, maybe even in the millions. Yes. So my point is, yes, you are the commissioner, but this isn't adding up. This doesn't really make logical sense with the problem we're facing now. So I think we're going to have to get a second opinion. And, that's what you can do at that level. You don't have to be an expert to actually seek second opinions on, certain things. And that's the kind of, type of governance people can expect from me. I'm not coming in this like I know it all. But one thing I do know for sure, what I don't know, I will seek that information.
Okay. Well, we're wrapping up the interview, but I just want to ask you this question about you and your party. This government has been in power now for almost 4 years.
Yes.
They've done some things. Why should people vote this government out and vote the PDM in?
Well, as you said, some things. I really don't think is a lot of things they would have done to really directly, touch, impact the lives of Turks and Caicos Islanders. And the sad reality and the truth is, the most action that this government ever did was within the last couple of months, and we're leading up into election. So, and the truth is, I've seen it happen, with both governments, if you want to say, some might wait, last quarter just to do it. It's not acceptable in my eyes, because you had basically a 3.5-year term to actually start executing. Most especially didn't have no national disasters, no hurricanes, no COVID. You basically had a smooth sailing ship with money in the bank. So to do some of the things you're doing now and saying it's impactful for people, no, these are stuff that's being done, what any government should do. The resurfacing of the road, any government should be doing that, even though that's being done the wrong way. That's only a resurface. It doesn't clear the traffic congestion. It doesn't have the proper infrastructure yet laid under it, which means that road more than likely will be cut up by a Provo Water Company or somebody within the next couple of months. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of stuff still need to be upgraded under that ground. So again, the airport, even with the new airport, whenever that deal is going to be sealed, these are stuff that any real caring government should do. You don't get credit for that. What you get credit for is how you change and transform the lives of your people. Right? You have to be, listen, again, we have a lot of young people, my generation, even your generation.
I'm young too, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In their 40s, early 50s, their life had not changed within the last 15 years. What are we going to do? Continue to delay? You have to actually come out of these offices, get in the field, and go to our people one-on-one.
But do you have to be in government to do that? I mean...
Depends. Certain stuff, you can't get as much results being in government. You end up getting a lot of respect, meaning when you go to certain employers that mistreat workers, like, we had a lot of people that complain that they're being unfairly treated on the job. Prior to me, assuming this position, I could have never went to some of the locations I went to and provide representation. Those people look at me, in fact, leave my property. But when you have that title as a representative of a constituency or all-island member, you now are in the seat of control. So you can actually speak more for your people. So there's a lot of things that I have been doing outside of office, which I know you don't have to do. Just recently, as helping people get jobs in good locations and all that. People reach out to me because more than likely because of the field I'm in, not being a part of the political side, but the field I am. I'm pretty sure people call you too, and
I do.
Mr. Seymour, do you know somebody that's looking for a job? So yes, you are right.
I get calls every week.
Yes. Yeah. So my point is, there are roles that you need to be in government so you can actually, get the real, true representation for the people of the Turks and Caicos. And me being a young guy, like your camera guys, you are young guys. I am more in tune to what they want for themselves over the next couple of years. The truth is this: they have a better chance presenting me a proposal to get approval in cabinet than presenting it to this current government, because it's two different generations we're dealing with, and more than likely what the current premier is going to see as, that's going to go on the back burner, is not relevant because I have this $200 million development I need to focus on for that's going to come in Grace Bay. Now, his development might only be about $500 or $1 million. Now, the premier might look and say, that's small, I don't need that past that. Now, no, that's big to him. You have to push that for him. That's for him and his family. So we need people to start representing on that level. And again, this is where you have to identify those candidates, those elected officials, and see who truly is going to provide the right kind of representation for his people, and not just talking a fluff just to get a title.
Yeah. And we also need to find a way, to be fair to this government and the previous administration, we have to find a way to expedite stuff. I'll be honest with you, things take very long to get done in government. And I know sometimes it appears as if governments are doing things at the last minute, but some things take 2 to 3 years to get done.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, even with my wife's, we have an office supply store, she submits something, they came back a year, the procurement department came back a year later, asking, is the pricing the same? So we have to find a way to expedite processes in government. And that's a big problem for the operational government.
So can I say this? This is why we really need to take this e-governance thing serious.
Yes.
The delays is because of paper. When you're dealing with a lot of paper and a lot of resubmission, paperwork being misplaced, that is a huge delay.
So that would be a big focus for your party?
Big focus.
The e-governance?
We both, any government.
Because this government also said it, and then now they're almost 4 years.
It's done.
I mean, I see the tender out, but it's taken almost 4 years.
Any government, because e-government isn't going to come overnight, and I do understand that. But any government would have to suck it up, make their relevant sacrifices, whether it takes 2 or 3 years during their term in office, just to make sure it gets off the ground.
Yeah.
E-governance, everything being digital, weeds out the corruption that everybody speaks of, right? Because now their timeline and your turnaround time isn't that delay where somebody has to try and slide something to somebody to try to get it, push. And sometimes the truth is, it's not being intentionally delayed by those government workers. It's just that the load is just that long. Look how quick it is to get a police record today. So, it's a lot of examples that shows, that once we can shift from there, we can get things done, quickly. And then secondly, we need to revisit the procurement process, because maybe it's just not working and turning around things as fast as possible. So what do we do? Oh, that's not how government works. That's not how cabinet works. This is the way it works, and this has to remain that way. No, it's not working. We need to make some adjustments, and we have to be mature on both sides of the fence. The population level, we all have to be mature. We need to change it. We need to fix it where we can get the turnaround times in the right time, where people don't have to be, discouraged, as I continue to say, because it happens.
Yeah.
You know how much things that I do, and I get discouraged, I get depressed. I go home, I go sleep, and I have to get a reset, even if I gotta go take a quick trip to Miami just for a weekend, just to come back at it.
I got you.
Because if you keep beating it down, you're not gonna see it. It's true that way.
True.
But and that's a part of life, but it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of identifying people who want to take on the challenge, and when I mean take on the challenge, take on the real challenges. Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay.
And if you're not built to take on the real challenges, and you're just here for a certain reason, just leave it alone for those that care. I'll just say this, and because I know we have to wrap up. I ask myself sometimes every day, why am I doing this?
I know, right?
Because
I believe you.
It's not like how it used to be in the past.
Yeah.
It is really a challenge, and the expectation levels is not the same.
Yeah.
It's really high, and it's a loads of sacrifice. What I'm doing, I'm offering a service. Recently I had to tell a few people, because people always thought I was getting paid because being the deputy leader of the party. I was like, no, I'm not elected. I don't get paid for what I do. In the last 8 years, this was all a service, and I did it passionately. I did it from the heart, and I did it the best to my ability that I could have gotten it done. I'm pretty sure, Turks and Caicos, if you were to judge me, you guys have been watching me grow since I came into political light in 2015. And I'm pretty sure from the first time I took a mic, from today sitting on the Drexwell Seymour show, you can see the growth in me. I didn't just want to go there just to say, hey, I'm an elected official. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be grown. I wanted to be a part of the change for Turks and Caicos. And I've never backed away. I lost the first election. I continued, even though my party was in office, speaking out. We did the second election right after. We lost, or everybody lost again. I didn't run. Instead, I went, spoke to members of the party. I said, hey, you know what, this time, I want to be more out there, and I would like to you guys to consider me to be the deputy leader of the party, because I truly believe this is the time for me right now, and nothing happens before it's time. And again, I said I question it because I could very well easily pull away and be just fine.
You could give up and say, man, this,
and be just fine.
You could pursue your private business.
So when even Mr. Grant would have made a comment the other day and said, this is not him, this is a calling, that sat with me, because I'm like, I'm actually feeling the same way, because every time I try to pull myself away, something is telling me there's a bigger plan for you. So to my people of Turks and Caicos, all I'm asking you to do is give me one opportunity, and if I don't deliver, don't allow me to come back to your doors begging for a second opportunity. And we should judge every last candidate or elected official that way. I gave you one shot, now let's make room for somebody else that would be more serious.
All right. Well, I think we can end on that note, unless you have anything else you want to say. And I want to thank you for being on the Drexwell Seymour show. I wish you the best and your party the best in this upcoming election. And all the viewers, I think now you know a little bit more about Robert. I'm quite sure as the campaign, start momentum, you'll hear more. So thank you for watching the Drexwell Seymour show.